Hey everybody, it's so fun to be back for our second Business Boost training for Health Coaches of 2015, and it's so lovely to see so many. I've just been seeing who's on the call, so many of you here again who were here last week, and welcome to those of you who weren't. You're welcome to obviously go back and watch last week's training where we talked a lot about January being a real hotspot for both you as a coach and also for your potential clients, you know, to really kickstart and build your health coaching business for 2015 based on January being a really hot spot month. And just, you know, I'm not going to go so much into my story and who I am, but for those of you who don't already know, my name's Amanda Daly and I work as a business and wealth consciousness coach for health coaches, for purpose and passion-driven health coaches in particular. And just as a bit of a, you know, if you want to hear my story, where I've got to today, what I did in my own health coaching business before I then evolved that into mentoring as well, definitely go back. I spent quite a lot of time on that on last week's video, and I think you'll enjoy that if you haven't already spent, you know, any time on my webinars before. As a little bit of housekeeping and reminder and how today's going to go, I don't choose to, you know, look at the chat box, which is available to you until the end of our call. But you're welcome to start putting questions in there as we go, because I will be opening up at the end of the training for any questions, like answering anything you've got at all on your health coaching business, anything we talked about today, etc. And that's also the time that I take at the very end for anyone who has been asking. There's been a lot of questions after last week's call, you know, wanting to know further about my mastermind, which is the Upswing Mastermind for health coaches. There'll be plenty of time then as well for me to take any further questions on that and tell you a little bit more about that if you have been wanting to know. So as normal, Joanna, my assistant, is on the call with us today. So she will be on the chat box if anyone's got any questions along the way. Feel free, she'll see them there, or else I will open up that at the end. And we do have another special guest with us today as well, which I'll be introducing to you later in the webinar. So today we're going to talk about money, and specifically making money as a health coach. And I say it in that way, like money is such a loaded word. It's a topic of taboo in many circles, and it's a topic I've experienced, like the more I've studied it, gone into it for myself, a topic really loaded with a lot of judgment as well. And the perceptions I've seen in some circles that if you make money you're not authentic or you're not genuine is such an old, archaic concept. And to be honest, if there's one world I've seen this like deep set hold on, you know, I don't need money to be happy, it's in the healing world. And, you know, from an energy perspective, there is an old like struggling healer archetype, which is deeply entrenched. And the thing which I think is the good news is it's just that, it's an old archetype. And it really is our calling now when we're stepping up as health coaches to really start to make a difference in the world. It's our invitation to really drop those old shackles and experience the truth around money. And honestly, like the truth in healing your money story will heal you. It's just as much in healing you, who you are on every level of your being, as the food you put in your mouth or the exercise you do. This is a really key piece, which is a blind spot or even a terrifying spot for most people to look at. And it's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about bringing it as part of my business. And the truth is that collectively as health coaches, if we can start to drop that money story, if we can start to value ourselves, value our services, in the way that they are deserved to be values, we will in turn create a ripple, one health coach by one health coach at a time, in the way the world values their health. I honestly, for every health coach that has told me along the way that no one will buy their program because $100 is too expensive, or $200 is too expensive, or whatever they're charging, I remind them that $100 is being dropped constantly by millions of people worldwide every Friday night at the bar or shopping on a Saturday. Like many, many people on the planet spend and value their money on things like that they perceive will make them happy or get rid of their pain, etc. And it's just not true that our potential clients don't have money for your services. What generally is true is that they haven't yet been convinced of the value of getting healthy. And that's the exciting thing. We're here to be the role models. It's a big new paradigm. We talked last week about health coaching. You know, there's not really any models in this field. It's a new industry, but one that we've clearly been called to be part of. And it's one of the ways that we will shift the world's view of health in becoming a health coach. You know, it's one thing to say that we're going to do this, but it's really another thing again to actually get out there and do that. Because it takes work in putting yourself out in the world, being courageous enough to go out there. It takes work at actually looking at your own worth, looking at your own money stories. All of these things do come up when you step into a coaching career, and that to me is what makes it such a rewarding and rich career, and one that you will be rewarded back for when you start to put yourself out into the world. And so today, I have decided to start with something a little different, and I decided to, hopefully everyone's got pen and paper, I decided to start with a bit of a collective healing exercise around this story that I so often hear, that health coaches do not make money or can't make big money, or there aren't clients, or people don't want health coaching, all these kind of stories. I know how much everyone enjoyed the visualization that we did last week. I got so much feedback on that, and I'm very, very, grateful to hear your feedback and to hear how that really opens things up for you. And so today we're going to start with a different exercise to start to heal this collective consciousness of health coaches or healers don't make money. And then I assure you we'll then move into the more tangible plans of how to actually make that money in your business this year. So if you've got some pen and paper, I'm just going to invite everyone just to do a little bit of journaling around this and see there's probably already things that might have come up for you as I was talking. And they could be judgments. They could be like, oh, she thinks this about money, or what's she talking about? Or they could be like, actually that makes sense. So maybe just start. There's going to be a free flow exercise. I encourage you just to write and journal on your paper anything that's just coming to you around money and health coaching. And I want you to really think about health coaching as a profession. And I want you to start journaling, like, what are some of the commonly held beliefs that you have or that you've heard around this profession and money? I often hear the most funny one that I do hear is people saying, oh, you can only make money as a business coach. And that is not true at all. The reason that you see a lot of business coaches talking about their money and their making is because that makes sense for their business to inspire people that they will get results. But health coaches are not always so vocal. And one of the most common questions I get from people is, can health coaches really make money? And the answer is yes. My clients absolutely are making money as health coaches. I was making good money as a health coach, and we even shared, Erica, one of my clients last week, came on and shared her journey and how she started to make good money as a health coach now. And so I can assure you they're out there, but certainly the stories are out there too. And one thing you do have to be careful of, we'll talk about a little bit later today, is who you surround yourself with when picking up this information, because our ego will love to find someone else with a negative story that will match its fears. So if you're like, I don't know if I can make money as a health coach, I don't know if it's possible, all of a sudden you'll have 5 people telling you, I tried to make money as a health coach and it didn't work. And then your ego is happy, fear is solved, and you'll leave. And so these are not true. So keep journaling, thinking about health coaching profession. What are the commonly held money beliefs? And then have a think, are these useful? If you really bought into those, I don't think you'd probably be on the call today. Because when we really are purpose-driven and being called in our way, to do this health coaching work, there's a part of us that knows better. There's a part of us that knows that it's possible. And that's the piece that will keep driving you forward while you let go of all the old beliefs. Now, think about the beliefs around money and prosperity in your country, or even in your peer group. Like, think about beliefs in money in your friends. Start writing about the beliefs in money that you have from friends. Maybe a great one to start to explore is, what are people saying as you've announced or even like hinted at that you might leave your job and become a health coach? Talking to a beautiful woman last week who has joined the next round of the Upswing Mastermind, and she just had this one niggling like thing that she was worried about, and that was that her friends, and I think her husband from memory too, were like, you're crazy, you're not going to make money as a health coach. But she knew it, and she knew all these things. So these are the things when we get stuck in other people's mindsets and beliefs, which are often ours too, but when we're ready to step out of them, we can be very careful of what other people's are. So take note now, just do a little bit of a scan, a little bit of a journal. What are the money and mindset beliefs that other people around you have, and maybe in particular around health coaching? What are the major financial events that you've observed, even in your life? Doing a little bit of a timeline scan now. Any big stories about money that you saw in your family, with your parents, with your grandparents, maybe in your country? Most countries have been through big recessions or financial booms in the last 5, 10, 20 years. These things always come up and down. What beliefs about money can you just scan here today and get down on paper? And maybe even, are there any in particular around health, healing, natural remedies, anything like that, anything that money in relation to this industry or even going wider, your country, society, families and friends, what else can you explore here? And watching how you've been affected and your beliefs have come up from all of this mass, like we are swimming in it day to day, beliefs around money, beliefs around money. And taking note where you might have bought into group thinking, where maybe there's a part of you that knew that wasn't true. Or maybe you'd never considered that maybe it wasn't true. Has it stopped you taking risks, or has it forced you to take risks? What are your habits with money? Because the truth is that you can make money in any circumstance and create a good life in many different circumstances. Not all, I understand, the realities of the world, but for most of us, we can, and it's very easy to buy into other people's mindsets and be unable to separate our own thinking and our own truth and our own path from that. Certainly when we're young, just starting out, of course, that's all we're exposed to. And therefore, things like investments, decisions, can be very hard to come from what's true for us. So I just want you to kind of wrap all that up, acknowledge any key learnings, and note down anything that you notice might be harming your ability to create prosperity in the career that you are being called to be part of. Because as we talked about last week, that desire wouldn't be coming through for you if it wasn't meant for you. And honestly, money is meant to come with that. When you really start listening to your heart and following your path, money will come when you let go of the things that are blocking it. So just one final, just wrap up now, noticing how any of these negative ideas might be affecting you going forward in your career. Notice if any emotions come up or any feelings in your body. And this is something I just wanted to start and do this collectively as a group, because I know, well over 100 people on this call today doing this together, the energy. I wanted to just let go and start letting go of these shackles around the health coaching industry and healing industry. I know we've got a lot of other, different coaches on the call and healers, etc. Just starting to let this go. And of course, keep doing this at home. Keep just letting these go, because all of these things, they're just beliefs. And wherever you're at, some of these things might challenge you, etc. That's fine. That's part of the journey. But really, as you start to wrap that up now, I want you just to move into just closing your eyes for a moment, and we'll do a very small meditation before we get into it. And having just let go of all those old beliefs and everything onto the paper, some of you might want to, rip that up, throw it in the bin, whatever feels right after, because they're just all beliefs, and, they're heavy. The ones around money are heavy. But what I'd love you to do now is just relax into your body and open up to a much wider possibility of what could be possible for you. And I want you to feel into, if all of those beliefs were no longer true, what would you do in your life if literally money was on tap? There was no, money wasn't good, money wasn't bad, all of these things are going to come up, you know, if good people or bad people make money, all those things. There'll be layers of it for everyone, but what if there was no emotion, no energy, no judgment, no good, no bad attached to money at all? It was just there. It was literally just like fresh air. What would you do with it? Back to what we talked about last week. What are those desires that are in there, and what would you do with that money? Because if you actually allow yourself to feel that, this is where you can start to understand what it is you desire in life. What it is the direction of what kind of business you truly would love to build. What business would you build this year if you weren't being thrown around by how much money you could or couldn't make, or all of these kind of things? And just start to feel into the possibilities. And while I'm not going into, you know, the full story today, you know, I want to open up the possibilities of that this is possible for you, just as, you know, I have built in my business, many colleagues have built in our business. When, you know, more and more money starts to flow through, a lot of it, not all of it, we're going to talk about the two sides today, but a lot of it starts from this place of starting to understand that money is just energy and money is available to everyone. The truth is, the reason that it's not just there is only because of our blocks, and they take time and our beliefs, etc., to start to look at. So today, you know, you can wrap that up, and I'd certainly love to, like I say, I don't have the chat box on yet, but certainly if anyone would like to share their experience with that, I will look at that shortly. And so today we are going to look at the money side of a coaching business. And I've said this before, I don't think any of us initially decided to get into a coaching career with the money in mind. For most of us, the drive to step into health coaching came from a deeper, purpose-driven place. Our desire to spread the good word of health to a world who so desperately need it came first and foremost, and led us to take the massive, often courageous action of training to be a health coach. And something that I've witnessed through my own journey was how it was almost saintly in some ways for people to say, but it's not about the money. I certainly, you know, did the same when I first started my own health coaching journey. And then when I started mentoring more and more health coaches, I noticed this trend of people like wanting to throw in their corporate careers to, you know, quote unquote, do the right thing and take a lower paid job in a health cafe or something like that. And although, of course, I can't go into, you know, the whole wealth consciousness piece today, if there's one thing I've learned with great certainty, it's that money is energy, and any personal blocks around money are just blocks in yourself. And they are blocks in your body, mind, and spirit, and therefore blocks to a truly healthy you. And so I'm very passionate that cleaning up our money story is part of cleaning up our health. Cleaning up, is that the right word? I think you know how I mean that. So getting your wealthy, healthy will free you on many levels. You know, when we think of how tight and how stressful money stories can be, like literally when you work on this area and start to let go of stress around money, it can free up tension in the body. It can free up tightness and pressure deep within your system that you didn't even know. And so I'm really quite passionate about us letting go of this experience and starting to experience wealth as like a free flow that flows through all of us. And, you know, in some ways, most excitingly, what happens and the possibilities in life when that starts to happen. And, you know, how that then, what I love about health coaching is it comes full circle, because what this does is we start to let go of these money beliefs. It allows wealth and income to come through our business, which, yes, as I keep saying, we're getting to the actual business pieces in a moment, but when wealth actually starts flowing through those, it also, because I just talked about the desires, it helps us see what we really want in life. And this is one of the ways that this kind of business really frees us into living the life that we truly desire. And that can be traveling. It can be working from home, so you can go to yoga at lunchtime, or, you know, the cafe with friends in the afternoon. It can be working like 2 hours in the morning around time with the kids, you know, the rest of the day. All those kind of things when we stop going on, I should do this because these money rules, I should do this because of what other people thought, it becomes a really beautiful cycle. And this is one of the reasons that I love health coaching, because we're in a position to create this life for ourselves. So as many of you know, but obviously, the way we've started, one of the key differences in the way that I do teach business from many other programs out there is that I like to work on both the masculine and the feminine sides of ourselves and of our business. And I truly believe that is a secret behind running a really powerful business that will be a really big change for good in the world, to whatever level you desire that, but without burning out and by putting you first. So just let me be clear on one thing. The universe will deliver you anything you truly desire when you start to understand this work, and money is available for you just as it is available for me or the next person. But it will not do so if you spend your days only on the beach meditating, waiting for it to fall in your lap. One of the key principles of wealth consciousness when you start to study it is that the universe rewards right action. And when you put out to the world with consistency, your heart-driven offer that is clear, that is researched, that is of true benefit to those who are looking for it, and you understand how to communicate that, and market's another one of those words that people like to put with money, but when you really understand how to do this from a heart-based place, then it's part of the loop that you will receive in return. So there really needs to be both the masculine inspired action and feminine intent and receiving aspects in play for this to get fun and juicy. Of course, anyone can manifest money on the feminine side, and anybody can build a business to a certain level without that. But for me, it's very important to bring both pieces in the mix. And I think for health coaches, on some level, most of us know that that's the way we're meant to do it. So that's a high-level view of wealth. I hope it didn't get too airy-fairy and out there for many of you, but I know that many of you will be just sitting there saying, come on, just tell me how. So of course, let's now move into the more masculine business side of things and the practicalities of how to make. What we're talking about today is $1,000 a week as a health coach. And so let's just start. And, a lot of journaling here today. I want you to just write down for a moment, what would $1,000 a week mean to you this year if your health coaching business was making a consistent $1,000 a week? Because the first step in money is you need to be clear on why. One of the biggest shocks or lessons that people tend to get when they first start understanding money from this level is that a desire to pay your bills or desire to stash away your money, like in a savings account or something, generally is not enough of a desire to someone to get out there and take action when they're first starting a business. But don't get me wrong, like if that's what the $1,000 a week would really mean for you, but explore, go wide. How could your life change or be different if you were making $1,000 a week this year from your health coaching? And of course, $1,000 a week is an arbitrary number that I'm putting out there. If another number feels better for you to do this exercise, then explore that for yourself. Because the first step is getting really clear on how much money you want and why. Because you need that commitment in yourself to get out there and make this a business as opposed to a hobby. What I have seen many health coaches do in their first year is go out there and try this and see who comes to them and try all these different things, which is great, and getting their first clients. But one of the biggest frustrations comes in when they realize like the consistency is a real issue. Like there might be 2 clients one month and none the next. So what needs to happen from there to make it consistent that most people miss the next step is you really need to make a plan. And this especially plays in if you are looking to seriously leave your job or go part-time in your job or whatever that looks like for you. This word consistency is one that people I find just don't play the tape through and really think about. Most health coaches never do the numbers to work out how many clients they actually need to create that consistent income. And this is one of the big surprises. So I'd like you to also write down now how many clients at your current price point at what you think you're going to charge if you're not already, would you need a month or would you need a week to make the $1,000 a week? And feel free to, like I said, substitute any numbers and just take a moment to do this because, like I say, most people will never do this and I want you to do it here today. Really being willing to look at the numbers. For some people, it's quite a shock how many clients they'll have to do. For some people, it's not. It depends on what you're actually thinking of charging. And for some people, it might give you a bit of a wake-up call of, oh, well, I was going to charge this much an hour. Maybe I need to understand or maybe I need to work on my confidence, whatever it is, to lift my price because maybe at, let's say, $50 an hour and I only want to work with 3 clients, that doesn't add up. So just roughly, take a few minutes to start to work out for yourself how many clients at what price point would you have to get consistently this year for either the $1,000 a month or for whatever number it is you really are committed to doing in your business. I'll just give you a moment to do that. I really don't want you to miss this step. I'd say it's one of the biggest mistakes. I mean, I'm not talking you have to create a whole big business plan, to be a successful health coach, but you do need some kind of plan, and that plan can only be made when you get clear on what the goal is. And, there's both sides of this. Just while you're writing, I'll talk of course, we've got to get out there, and it's for many of you, it's a new career, and it might be at first you might have to coach for free to build your confidence wherever you're truly at yourself. But at some stage, you need to understand the reality of, how many clients at what price point to get the income you're desiring, and is that a part-time income? Is that a full-time income? Whatever that means for you. And so the first thing I see is that people often don't have, a plan at this high level. And then the second piece is that they don't have a repeatable action plan for what works and what to bring in each month. So like I talked about, treating their business like a hobby of kind of like, I'll try this, and next month I'll try this. So it's really important to have a plan of what will bring you consistent income and clients each month. So for everyone, that will be different. Last week on the call, I gave away the ebook on how to get clients. Joanna might actually put that link back in the window again today because I know a lot of you have emailed me during the week for that. So for anyone else who missed out. But, working out for yourself, which things are working for me getting my clients and how will I repeat that? And this is just high-level things you need to be talking about for now. Of course, this isn't the full detail you'll need to go into, but you've got to start with these couple of key pieces. How many clients at what price point to bring in my income? And what are the actions that I would have to do consistently each month to start bringing in clients consistently? And this is part of the mindset that needs to start changing into thinking like a business than a hobby. And don't get me wrong, not everyone wants it to be that consistent income, etc. But for most of us, that is what we're desiring because we want to be supported. The more we're supported financially, the more we can actually give and relax in giving to our clients, and that will create a spiral effect too over time. Right, so I think, that's enough for you to get the high level. In the Upswing Mastermind, I've talked about this before, I do provide an in-depth 5K a month plan on day one of the course. And for some of you, that might be your next path, and that would be the way of, this is your plan and how we're going to consistently bring that in each month. Let me make it clear, I've said this before, but I want to say it for everyone, whether or not you are part of or want to be part of the next mastermind or not, for absolutely everybody. When I say $1,000 a week, $5,000 a month, whatever that number is, it's most important that you understand the numbers to get there than that you jump out day one of January and prove that you can do 5K a month. It's not about that. It's about understanding the actions behind it to bring consistent income. So for you, if you're starting to get clients, you can do this yourself. What's working? What do I need to repeat each month so that I can get that result again? you know, I talk about this a lot and in the mastermind as well, but I can give anyone a plan, you know, today for making $1,000 a week, $5,000 a month, etc. And like I say, in the mastermind, I do that on day one. But it's not like everyone's just going to go out that day and do that, because what comes in next for you to really, you know, add as you're building your own plan here is how you are going to take personal responsibility for taking action on that plan. So this is a real key point for me, which brings in, first of all, your personal responsibility of stepping up and saying, I'm going to make this happen. You've seen the numbers. What's it going to take for you to step in and take action on that? Is that, for example, I'm going to take action. I'm going to cut my days to 4 days a week because I can see that personally I need one day building the business. For other people, it's not that. For other people, the personal responsibility is, okay, now Saturdays are going to be my day and I'm going to commit to that as I do it. So what's your personal responsibility that might need to step up here for you to start actioning what you just, you know, wrote down for yourself is needed for you to step into your dream life this year and dream business? And, you know, the third point that I was going to talk about here today is actually bringing both those masculine and feminine sides of business together in surrounding yourself with people on a similar journey. This way of running business, you know, like we've talked about last week, is not everyone has that internal, that, you know, purpose-driven, like, piece inside them that's calling them forward. And I was even talking to my friend actually about this morning. You know, of two non-negotiables that I have in my life is one, creating a thriving business and thriving life so that I can experience everything that is possible for me in this life. But secondly, doing it in a feminine way without burning out. And this hasn't been modeled, and it can be really challenging. And what we were talking about when I was talking with my friend this morning is, you know, really the importance of who you surround yourself with. It's why, you know, I talk to her regularly. Who you surround yourself with, it's one of the personal responsibility pieces of getting in this new way. As in, why I say who you're surrounding yourself with, you know, how can you keep clean in this idea that anything's possible, but also being surrounded by people who are taking these actions and, like, really making this a commitment for yourself now. When I say, let me just sidetrack there for a second, you know, who you surround yourself is really important. My friend Paula, who I was talking to this morning, it's essentially a health coaching business. She's, you know, morphed on a little bit from there, but she makes $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month consistently. And when I first was surrounded by her and others in my own mastermind program, you know, at first I never would have even considered that things like that were possible until I saw people just like me and witnessed the actions they were taking and the expansion that can come by being around people who are committed to making this for themselves and watching how that happens. It's something that's really intangible, money can't buy. So it's something I wanted to just mention here today, is really being aware who you're around. I think I always forget the words, but there is that well-known saying out there of, I think it's your bank account or your success or something, you know, is a direct average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And it's absolutely true when you're stepping up to create an exciting, you know, thriving business in this way. And as a side note, Paula is actually one of the guest mentors in the Mastermind program. And I would say, you know, from what I witnessed in the last round of the Mastermind, one of the highlights when she's in there talking about her journey of building that health coaching business from, you know, she certainly talks about when she was too scared to charge anything. And, you know, that whole journey that's happened in a few years for her there. So these are the key steps I want you to take away today to start to create your own plan. One, committing to starting to look at your wealth beliefs and starting to do things like we did at the beginning, like journaling, looking, maybe challenging yourself. Is this even true? What if this wasn't true? What would I do in life if there was no block in money? And especially checking in on those things, and especially, by the way, if you're judging what I'm saying, because if there's anything in you that's like around the healing space and money, this is a big place that collectively we can heal. Like, it's just not needed. Money is not good, it's not bad, it's not high, it's not low, it's not positive, it's not negative, it just is like the air. So I really invite you to start exploring that in your own life. Secondly, making this masculine plan for yourself now. How many clients at what price point do I need consistently to bring in $1,000 a week or whatever that is for you? Next step in that masculine plan, what actions am I going to take? Where do I need support? All of those kind of things. And third, like, how am I going to commit to this on a personal level? What commitment, what change, what action do I need to make to take personal responsibility for stepping into my goal now? Because anybody can hand you a plan. You can go, find anything like that online or, anything at all. But what's your personal responsibility? What are you willing to do now to step up and to really commit to making this possible for you? Because I've said it many, many times before, and I will say it again, like, there's nothing in what I teach on these trainings, nothing in my program, etc., that won't work or can't work for you any more than it's worked for me and my business, my clients in my business, or my colleagues. Absolutely creating the business you want, the life you want, and what will follow as you do the work is the wealth is possible for you just as much as the next person. But it's a choice, and it's a choice that really, I believe, comes like when you're like, yes, that's for me. So I am going to open the chat box in a moment. So I just want to be, really open for this discussion here today. Any questions that you have around money, I will, do my best to answer. Any questions that you have about your health coaching business, or any questions at all about the Mastermind program, which I talked about a lot last week, get them in the chat box, and shortly I'm going to open that up and start asking questions. But first, I have an exciting guest with us today. Andrea is a current member of the Upswing Mastermind. The current Upswing Mastermind is 3 months in, and unlike Erica, we got Erica on here last week, and I wanted her to share some of the money side and what happens with wealth consciousness, etc. But Andrea, I wanted to bring along today because a lot of women have been asking me about the experience of the actual group in the program. Not so much the what's the number I'll get or what's the result, because you've heard me talk about that today. I'll give everyone the plan, that the steps are there, but it's always more the personal journey of being part of something like this. And a couple of things that I've witnessed, and I'm going to get Andrea to talk to you about as well, are the community. Because I think every person has said to me in the mastermind this time, like, there's no way you could have explained this community till we were in it, or the impact and the importance of that. So I'm going to see if Andrea's got any thoughts on that. But really, I haven't really told her what I wanted to talk about. I just said to Andrea, why don't you get on and share a little bit of what the mastermind's been like for you, bearing in mind, it's only a couple of months in, and anything that maybe she would have liked to have known when she was thinking if it was the right program for her. Anything at all. I actually don't know what she's going to say, so let's bring her on. And I might also open up the chat box now, and if anyone has any questions for Andrea as well, I can keep an eye on those. Okay, Andrea, thank you so much. And I only asked you this morning if you could join us, so I'm very, very grateful for your willingness to jump on and share a bit of your experience of the mastermind and also your own business journey with everyone on the call today. You've heard me talking about the money today, but also about my approach to both the very masculine structures of business, which maybe I haven't talked about so much on today's call, but certainly in the mastermind, there's workbooks, there's step-by-step, all the business processes, right down to online marketing, websites, everything you need. Right from day one, but also this feminine side of the wealth consciousness, and there's both parts in place. So I don't know, do you want to start with any thoughts on your experience? And maybe I might actually start asking you first, where were you before you joined the program, and maybe what you were looking for?
Okay, sure. Hello. When I first joined the program, I didn't feel like I was ready to do it. But I thought that if I didn't, I probably would never be ready, because I was busy working on all sorts of things to try and pull together some direction, and I don't think I was taking the right steps, because it's just so much information you get given And so I thought, I wasn't even looking for business coaching, and I came across Amanda. And the first thing that I thought was, I was almost converted immediately by Amanda's marketing, and I thought, I need to learn how to do that because it was so, I don't know, I'm hard to convert, so I wanted to learn how to do that. And the other thing was that I had just been to a talk by a person called Brad Smith, and he had said, he was a 26-year-old millionaire who said, you can't underestimate the value of coaching, because why would you spend 5 years working something out when you could just pay someone to tell you and start doing it within sort of three to 6 months? So I was like, whoa, that's a good point. So so I did come to the Mastermind for the sort of the structures, because there was so many things I could have done, and I wanted some direction, and that's been exactly my experience. I've always got, like, I always know now weekly what I should be working on, because there's so many things I could be working on that would be wrong and not earn me any money, which is what I usually do, spend a lot of time doing the wrong things. And then the community side of it, which was something I did sign up partly for, because around my I've got really supportive friends and family, but none of them really understand what I'm doing. Why did I leave architecture, blah, blah, blah. And I really wanted to be around people. Also, I was around a lot of health coaches who are all kind of like, can we really make money, that sort of thing. And I just wanted to be around people who were like, yes, we can do it. And that's exactly what it's done to me. Every week, everyone's like, look what I've done. This is what I've done. And how are you guys going? And so you feel like you're always thinking, oh, that's amazing. So you keep going, and everyone kind of chats to each other and helps each other. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. What's your literal experience like week to week? Most of us, especially when we start out, it's like, oh, maybe I should blog and I should do this, blah, blah, blah. So from what I'm hearing, you get on the call, there's a workbook, there's action steps, there's business training, but then also from what I've experienced, and I'll get you to, chime in, the energy that you get from being on the group calls, and then like the inspiration, it's like almost like a kickstart every week. Is that what you're experiencing?
Yeah, absolutely. After every call, I could have a really stressful week and be overwhelmed, and then we have a call, and I just feel like I know what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it right now, and I just like write and write and write, because I get so inspired, and I love seeing all the 22 other women talking about their thing, and I just feel like, look, we're all doing this, and we just all go away, and everyone's, just the energy I get from it is like, it's like taking drugs or something. It's like a little limitless drug, and I just go off and do stuff. So it's really motivating, especially now I have finished IIN, and those lectures used to kind of keep me going a bit, and then I was like, I could really easily fall into my own little overwhelmed world without it. So it's been amazing. Yeah.
And that accountability side too. And I often say this, I can get out there, or you could do an online course, watching a video, etc. But there's something like, what's your experience? If I say go get clients, go get discovery calls, whatever, you've heard it from me, but then you get into the Facebook group and you're watching, like you might have put out 5 emails or something, and the next person says I emailed 75 people. Like how does that impact your journey each and every week as you've been building this? Like, how's that kept the momentum going, and even what's possible for you?
Yeah, that's definitely been my experience as well. It's everyone's always doing inspiring things, so you feel that you need to catch up. But the other thing is I sort of know what I should be doing anyway. I could go and do a whole lot of free online courses and blah, blah, blah. But the question is, will I? And the answer is no. And because I'm so overwhelmed, I don't go and do all those things. So having the Mastermind, it's like one thing that I know, this week I'm doing this, and so I don't get too bogged down. And otherwise I could spend all day answering emails and reading emails about business coaching, which tell me the same sort of thing. But I wouldn't actually, I'd just get too overwhelmed. So I like having that one thing. And seeing everyone else, and there's a few people in the group who are just such go-getters, and you think, shit, but they're also really encouraging, so it's lovely, but you always feel like, gotta keep going. Yeah, so it's driven me forward so much faster. I think it would have taken me another year to get to where I am now after 3 months, or probably more, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I don't know why you just said about the group of women. One of the things that I see initially is people can be so surrounded all of a sudden by so many health coaches and communities, etc., and they start to feel like there's an element of competition, or she's already done it, or that kind of thing. What's your experience been, having been surrounded by 20 other women? Has that played up for you, or do you really feel supported and clear from the work we've done that everyone's got their own unique path, their own unique niche, all of those kind of things?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose, no, yeah, I suppose I was actually worried about that, but since we've all done the very detailed work and got our target markets really clear, there's just none of us are doing anything similar, and even the ones who are doing something similar, they just still have different markets, and so it's been really awesome to get so clear that I now don't look at any other health coaches. I don't care what anyone else is doing. I'm doing what I'm doing because I know no one else is doing what I'm doing, and the same for all of us. So yeah, there's no competition, which is awesome because it means you can post and say, I got a discovery session today, yay, and then everyone goes, oh, that's amazing, so did I, and this and that, and so it's all like encouraging. There's no competition, which is nice.
Absolutely. At a wealth consciousness level, money comes from creation, not competition. Yeah. And it's one of the key ways that people get sidetracked very quickly online. And the truth is that the only way that there can be competition is when you are copying someone else online, which we see people do all the time. Then there's competition. But if you're creating, like the work we've done in the Mastermind already, coming from who you are, finding out who your niche, who you're meant to be serving, really crafting those packages, those pricing, everything uniquely for you, then there is no competition. It doesn't exist anymore. And what I've witnessed is it's almost like rocket fuel, because when you get in that space, it's like you don't see the rest and you just go forward and you start serving the people, and that's why clients start coming, discovery sessions, like we've been talking about. It just doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that you don't look out at the world sometimes, get inspired, but you're not creating your business based on that copycat mentality. It's black and white difference, and people feel it.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Any other thoughts or anything you want to share from, I don't know, I know what it's like when people are kind of considering, would this be the right program for me? I've had so many questions during the week, but often I find, if you could ask someone in there, it's probably even more so than me sharing. So anything, I don't know, that you're just feeling to share as a final point, or?
Yeah, I would just say that just do it, because I did it around for ages and was unsure and whatever, and then I just went, no, I'm going to do it, and it's changed the way my business runs and everything, and it's just I wouldn't be where I am without it, and it's the best investment I've ever made. And I think if you're feeling like you're not ready, I don't know, look at all the past situations that you've ever had. Like for me, I would never have been ready, so yeah. Just do it now. That's what I would have said to my former self. I'm so glad that I just went, no, Amanda's the coach for me. She's real and honest, and that's what I want, and it's perfect. So I did it. So you should.
Thank you so much for sharing from your experience. And what you said before about you'd met the millionaire, and he said that it's just all exactly what I hear all the time. So many people saying, I'm going to wait till I'm making the money or making more than that before I start, which is fine if you really, really know what you're doing. But 99% of people don't. Like, if you've already had a business in this way, sure. But if you don't, there's so much like faffing. I created this program because of what I went through and what I saw out there, etc. Trying to dabble in, maybe if I learnt the Facebook ads, then it would be the magic answer. And then maybe if I grew my Facebook following, and then maybe if I got the blog, and maybe if I did the SEO and all this kind of craziness. And most of those things aren't what gets you clients. And so as far as actually having that action plan clear to what to do every week, to wrap up on what we talked about, today, then getting clear on how many clients you desire, how to build to that, etc. It's going to just cut out not only so much wasted time for most people, but also for what we're talking about, like that stress, that internal overwhelm that makes it not really a fun lifestyle-based business anymore when you're just flustered and getting nowhere. So thank you. I'm really grateful for really your intuition as well, and just whatever you felt to bring forward for anyone who might be considering the program, but also for anyone who's not. My free trainings are here so that I can reach everyone, whether or not that is right for you. So take from what you've heard Andrea say, and obviously myself, for wherever you're at, and apply it. So thank you so much, Andrea. Really appreciate you joining us today. All right, you can put your mute back on, and I will continue. Okay, I so love it when clients or mastermind participants are willing to share their stories, because I really, really understand the importance of being surrounded by people at your stage in your journey as much as the importance of having someone a few steps ahead of you. And so really, on that note, I want you to be clear, like these are the steps that we've talked about today in the training last week and what we'll be going into next week. But also obviously what I dive deeper to in my Mastermind program that I've used to take my health coaching business, in the first year or so was making 5 to 10K a month consistently. My private clients are now doing the same, and it's exactly the same steps with the wealth consciousness pieces added and building and expanding that I've used to, create my own business to where it is today. And there's nothing different in where you're sitting today that I'm aware of. I'm very, welcome if anyone wants to tell me why their scenario is drastically different. But, what I'm saying, like really there's nothing in me that's different to you. I wasn't handed this. I did not have a cent when I started learning or investing. I wish I had, saved money from those corporate days. I didn't. I just left. So there's nothing different in me than you and what's possible if you're willing to, step up and make these changes in your business. So let me check. Was there anything else I wanted to say? I really felt to get on today and, talk to you guys about both the very masculine side and the very feminine side that can come together to create a very powerful business from a place of ease for you as you grow your health coaching business now and really get it out there because people are waiting. People are needing these services. Even in the Mastermind, this week, just watching how many people have picked up clients when they've gone out in January, like we talked about last week, like people are out there. So let me open up the Q&A, and I think, just to finish up this segment, yes, it takes work, but it's joyful work. And the more you enjoy what you're doing, the more you're connected to your passions. I hope you can start to see some threads coming through with your desires and what happens when you enjoy. The money and the rewards will come back to you when you understand the structures, the online business pieces of how people are making money in this world. So I'm just going to open up the Q&A. For me, when I do this, it will take a moment. So let me very briefly tell you about the details of the Mastermind because I've had so many emails this week. I feel like collectively it'd be good to just put it across. The Upswing Mastermind is a 6-month intimate group coaching program. As you've heard Andrea talking about, the group is roughly 22 people. And it's intimate. Everybody gets to know each other very well, very quickly, actually, when we're, called into the space at the same time. And from what I've watched already of the women who are signing up for this next round, like very, very like-minded. People are really ready to step up now. People who know that this is their path and they're ready to put out their health coaching to the world. And also I'm watching of a lot of, the women coming through really ready to understand this money piece and how that fits the puzzle as well. So it's a 6-month program. We meet twice a week, every week, or most weeks. Sometimes we take a week off. I'm very conscious of, not allowing overwhelm in there. But in general, every week, 2 calls. One is a online business video training, very much like today. Normally 60 to 90 minutes of me teaching on video on the set masculine structures that it takes to set up a successful online coaching business. And not even just online, like we start very much with how to get clients where you are right now. You don't even need a website. And there are workbooks that go with that. So each month there's a structured outline. And the first day you get literally the 5K a month plan, and then each workbook for the 6 months is all the worksheets, all the resources, everything you're going to need to build your business. And then the second call of the week is a live laser coaching, which means that we all collectively get on a video group conferencing call. So we all get to see each other. It's so fun. It's like a little hangout each week. And everybody gets the chance to bring their question to me to be coached on each week. So that doesn't matter whether that's on the topic of that week or whether it's, I got my first client, what do I do? There's a chance for personal coaching attention every single week. And The last piece, and then there's a Facebook community, which, as you can heard Andrea, talking about a little bit, like the action goes on in there. I'm in there on and off throughout the week, but there's 1 hour as well, which is like me dedicated to Q&A. So you've got that middle point in the week. So you have 3 touch points. If you want me to review your copy or your website or anything like that, or just any questions that you've got of me. But other than that, like, the conversation is on there 24/7, like even right through Christmas, everything. That group did not stop. And that is constant support for wherever you're at, any questions that arise. And as a business owner, I actually don't know how I could do that without having a network like that to ask a question when things come up. Just thinking, an example, someone this morning, I did a great discovery session this morning. They said she wanted to go away and think about it, which is great, but what's the approach from here? How do I follow up, etc.? And I sent her a script of how you do that straight away. So that's the kind of conversation of things that just arise day to day. That's like, you don't need to spend weeks working it out by yourself. We get the community, we get feedback, and that is buzzing, 24/7 whenever you need it. On top of that, we also have a guest mentor each month, one of whom I talked about before, Paula, who is a very successful health coach come beauty coach mentor who is making, great money, but she really comes and talks to us about the inner personal journey that takes, to really expand into your wealth and really to be doing that from a feminine place. We also have guest experts on sales, copywriting, mindset and belief, and there's a couple of new surprises that will be in there for the next round as well. That's how it all works. The cost for the 6 months is $5,000 US, or you can pay monthly on a payment plan of 6 payments of $995 US. So for anybody who would like to explore that, Joanna will put the link for the application into the chat box now. And you can fill in the application. We're going to get on the phone and, talk it through. It's totally, as anyone who's already been talking to me knows, it's not a, pressuring sales call or anything like that. It's just an exploration call to see if you'd be a right fit, to see if the program would be best for you. I will totally, send you somewhere else. If it's not, we'll help you explore any blocks. And certainly, even if you think the money's not there, we can explore that. So if you'd like to have a conversation with me to see if you're a right fit, you just need to fill in the application form and, just to check straight off that you're in the right place. And there are literally, I know there's 2 spaces in my calendar this afternoon because I always leave Tuesday for the afternoon free. There are limited spots left after that this week. So if you're thinking about it, get your application in, as soon as possible, and we'll jump on the phone and have a chat. The Mastermind does start the 2nd week of February. So there's a couple of weeks to get things together, etc. if if that's right for you. But if you want to explore, I'd suggest talking to me sooner rather than later, even if you're not sure yet, because places are filling quite fast this time. Okay, so then let me come over to the chat box. And we've got heaps. Awesome. Okay, question in here. I'm going to college for my bachelor's in health and wellness, and I'm wondering how far into my degree would you recommend I start building my client base? There's pieces I know I've talked about in past videos. Today's been a bit more on the money side, but when we're talking online marketing or getting clients in general, there's 2 pieces. One's the in-person and one's the online. Everybody seems to want this online business where they'll just sell their little products or whatever and make a fortune, or maybe not everyone. I might be exaggerating slightly. But the reason I say that is because it takes time to build that database, and that relies on a big online following, or people following your newsletter. And some of the role models that we have seen of the more, big online health coaches, etc., literally have 30, 40, 50,000 people on their newsletter lists. So it's a little bit of a myth when you see them put out an ebook and say, oh, I made $20,000 in an hour. That's taken them years before you even knew of them to build those lists. And then, yes, of course, once you get to that stage over time, this is where you can start to create more passive wealth, etc. But for now, for this question, the reason I wanted to say that is there's really no time. It's too soon to start building that following.
And online internet marketing changes by the day. Another reason to, you know, align yourself with a mentor who's up to date, not just getting like an online program, etc. Because things like even Facebook marketing literally change almost every day, if not week, you know, definitely month. And so the reason I say that is those things might not even always be around. We don't know. So whatever you can do now to start building your list, building your client base, great. I'm not always, we're going to talk a little bit about pros and cons of blogging next week because I get asked about it so much. I'm not always the biggest fan on putting all your effort into just blogging. But in this instance, you know, for someone who's not ready to get clients for a while now, building like a following, like a blog and your newsletter list, etc., would be a really good idea so that when you're ready, you've already got that buzz and that following. So I hope that helps that question. Sorry, it's just taking me a minute to read this one. Okay, great. I like this question. I had to feel into it first. So someone has said to me, and I see a lot of questions like this, my blockage is not feeling like as a healer I can't have money. She says she's fine with that concept, absolutely believe money is energy, and as a healer you more deserve money. Great. For me, it's more of a personal financial situation with her family that physically there isn't any money left over each fortnight to build her business. Even just small things I need to spend on are not possible. For example, logo, website, etc. How do I build this business when I work full-time in another field, but any extra money I have needs to be spent on reducing our debts? I've been stuck with this concept for almost a year now after graduation. Okay, I might come back to this. I don't have an exact powerful, when I say powerful, I want to check that this is relevant for everyone. You're quite welcome to email me if I don't answer this enough for you on this call. But the piece I did want to point out on this question is, you know, I don't have money for things like logo, website, etc. If you listen to a lot of my call last week, I don't even believe that you really need that to start with. The key is like get out there talking to people, tell them what you offer, and start to offer, you know, just one package at a time, that kind of thing. From a wealth consciousness perspective, I'm just going to give a little example. I don't think that logos and websites are necessarily needed for you to be making money, but let's just say that was your desire. You really, really, really wanted a logo. And so the logo is going to cost you $200 as an example. Then if that's what you really desire, really getting to that energy of I really desire this logo, $200 is what I desire, $200. And if you were out getting clear on I have a $200 package, or I've got a $100 session for 2 people, getting out there and talking to family, friends, like emailing people and letting them know, like, I can't guarantee because I don't know your situation, but as a blanket statement, there would be $200 out there for you. There would be one person willing to pay you $200. And again, this idea that build the website and the logo and it will look great and people will come is one of the biggest traps. It is needed. A lot of people asked me last week, are you saying I don't need a website? No, no, no. You do need a website. You do need all these marketing pieces, but I'm not saying that building those and they will come. You know, you need to be out there talking, letting people know, etc. The whole side, I might come back to this, or else, like I said, email me the whole side of how to really build your business when there's literally no money. I get why you're stuck on that, and it's a little hard to know without, you know, personally talking to you, etc. I wish I could answer that deeper. I'm feeling into it. I don't think I can on this call. I don't know, and I don't want to make blanket statements about what you're doing with your money now, etc. I don't know that personal situation. What I am saying is money is always available to all of us. And, you know, there are people out there who would love your health coaching. So if it starts with, I'm going to make $200 a month, you know, and you start to build that up, it's more the mindset of starting to get clients, starting to tell people what you're doing. You know, I don't have business cards. And, you know, there's really, really cheap ways to make online websites as well. One of the biggest things that I often see people when they're starting up with me say is, well, I don't know because I was about to spend all this money on a website. And I say, stop. Like, there's websites that are, if not free, then, you know, the woman who does helps the people in my mastermind with their websites charges $250 for the whole thing. So as I talked about last week, I think people often spend a lot of time on these flashy things instead of the actual actions to get clients. I wish I could answer that question a little deeper on this call. I don't feel I can, but you can email me direct if you'd like. My opinion on putting prices on a website, personally, I do it because I believe in aligning with my pricing, and I only put out what I believe in, what I know I'm worth, and what I truly believe that the right clients for me will pay. There's no right or wrong. There's pros and cons for putting your pricing. The downside of that is that someone might write it off quickly by seeing your prices, thinking they can't afford it or whatever. Whereas if they had got on a free call with you first, they might have discovered why they really needed it, and they might have changed their mind, or they might have found the money working with you. Pros and cons, so there's no right or wrong. Personally, I always put my prices on my site. There's a reason I do it. There's a reason you might not. How important are free consultations? If you are selling a package program, so like 6 sessions, 12 sessions, etc., it's, in my opinion, you would need to do a free consultation. Not many people will, especially when they don't understand coaching. Coaching is a new industry. There's a real art in how to market and how to communicate coaching to people. Free consultations are needed for bigger packages. One of the strategies that I teach in the mastermind is another way of doing that doesn't involve consultations, or can have a really quick one. But in general, if you are teaching, if you're coaching, like, you know, 6 package, 12 package, you'll need to do a free consultation for that reason. The other reason is you wouldn't want to take on a client that you don't know if you're the right fit for. You really, as a coaching relationship, it's a very special relationship. And you need to be in yourself sure that you want to work with the person, that you really feel you could help them. And so I would never want someone signing up for any program or package without doing some kind of consultation first, unless it was, for example, like a one-off session. I'm not 100% sure on this question. Maybe just clarify for me. What is your opinion on share this program with your current employment place? I think you mean on taking health coaching into your current employment place, but maybe just follow up and I can answer that question better. Okay, what are some of the things you can do to take personal responsibility? For an example, to give us, is it more practical, tangible steps, or more mindset clearing, emotional blocks? It's kind of all of it. Thank you for the question, Katie. You know, some examples might be, an example, this is not for everyone, but an example might be that your personal responsibility is that you are going to, like, as mums, this is an example, and it is a blanket statement, please, for mums, you know, I'm not saying this is for you necessarily, but for some mums, they're so dedicated to doing their business, but they're there for the kids the whole time. So the personal responsibility might be, I am going to do this business, and I am going to look at daycare, nanny, parents, whatever that is, for 2 2-hour slots a week. And it's like a personal action that you take to commit. Another personal responsibility might be literally, this is one I see big time with people, and, you know, I had to go through this as well, is, you know, not spending so much time on Facebook, or not spending so much time on social media, or even emails, and going, no, this time is for creating my program, or this time is for doing this. So by personal responsibility, I mean, it's not someone else feeding you all the information, but you're like, I'm going to do this. You know, it's like a change that comes from within you. Personal responsibility could be, you know, I'm going to get out there and talk about my program. It could be, I'm going to clear my mindset and blocks about why I'm scared to do that. I guarantee 9 times out of 10, I watched this in the laser coaching call with the current mastermind last week. Pretty much any question about clients, should I do it this way? Should I do it this way? At the end of the day, it comes down to, oh yeah, okay, if I'm honest, I was scared to, or if I was honest, I didn't want to send that email. 9 times out of 10, it's the personal blocks behind not taking responsibility. So when I say taking personal responsibility, it tends to be like deciding to step up and take a new action, and if needed, doing the mindset or emotional work behind that for that to become a new reality for you. What's the saying? You do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. So that's what I mean by choosing something new so that you can create something new. What about insurance? What about it? Yes, get it. You want to be insured. People ask me, does my course go through all the legal sides and all that? No, because that is a given. You need to be insured so you're covered. You need to have contracts in place so that when you sign up clients, especially for health coaches, make it really clear. This is what health coaching is. This is what it's not. This is not forming a medical opinion. This is my certification. One of the biggest stresses for health coaches is when they feel like they don't know enough, or they're trying to be a doctor or trying to be a healer or whatever. And as a coach, we're coaching others. Just be really clear. Have insurance so that you're always covered. You feel energetically clear and supported when you have those things in place. All business should have those pieces in place. What's my experience doing business with family friends? Personally, I don't. I think there's a different coaching relationship. A sacredness, like I said before, between a coach and a client. And things that can come up in coaching can be to do with personal pieces, etc. And I personally, there's plenty of coaches in the world. It's about finding the right fit. I personally don't do business with friends and family. At the very, very beginning, I know that sometimes that's where your first clients will come, and I'm not against that. I think at the beginning, sure, if your mum wants to be your first client, etc. But ongoing, it's just not my thing. I think you already have a personal dynamic with those people, and as a coach you need to be in the expert seat. They need to respect you as an expert, and I just like to keep things like that clean. That's a personal, okay, sorry, I should read the question first. As a new health coach who is just starting out, will I greatly improve my chances of getting paying clients if I offer them an in-person coaching option in addition to coaching online or by phone? There's actually no right or wrong. I was just thinking about this yesterday, actually, how a lot of my first health coaching clients were in person. And I used to do, literally in my kitchen just over there, I used to do cooking demos and things like that in person. It used to be fun. But obviously you can't coach internationally or have that broader reach over time. I do find that at first, like local people, it's easier to pick up, and some people do like that in-person touch. But I don't think that one or the other. Let me backtrack. It's not your delivery that's going to greatly improve your chances of getting clients. So it's not that because you're an in-person coach, you're going to greatly get more clients than you're an online coach. What it is more that you're more likely to get clients meeting people locally to start with, because of the reason I talked about before, where it takes time to build an online following, online community, etc. And so I hope that answers that. Yeah, great. And there's a question. I'm glad that straight follows. My target market are baby boomers. They're not into the computer so much. Any thought on how to work with this group? There's an example. You've got to know your target market. For this woman, then clearly you got to get out there and know, where are they? And I always say, like, that I don't know where baby boomers are. That's your job to go out and find them and talk to them. And I always say, care about them more than they currently care about themselves. Because if it's the right target market for you, you will do that. You'll be driven to do that and find where they are, find where they're hanging out. The great news is, like I say, that at the beginning, it's easier actually to get clients if you go out and do a talk or do a workshop. Do they like to go to talks at the library or at a local club? All of those kind of things. Also, though, I don't know that they're not necessarily on the computer. So maybe it's worth a survey or a, getting out there and talking to them. I can understand the predicament if you don't think you can put a survey online because you don't think they're there. You know, talking to other professionals who service that market, this is for everyone. Who else is already servicing your target market? Plenty of health professionals out there servicing baby boomers. You know, get out there and ask them, get to know them. Networking is not just to pick up clients, it's also to get to know other people in business and, you know, how they are going out there and doing that. Great, seems to be the theme of today. Next question, better to do business online or in a community office? It's a personal preference. I have a client who we are building her online business and it's, you know, really growing in that way. And now she's just got the opportunity to work in more of a healing center as well. And she's going to do both. You know, she's going to get more on people clients, you know, getting that funnel coming through the clinic, but also continuing to build the online business. There's no right or wrong, better or worse. It's undeniable that online is where things are going. The personal development industry, coaching industry, etc., is really going to start to get out there more mainstream over the next few years. And, you know, if you get online, people are used to online. It's quick and easy. They can do it in their lunch break or wherever they are. And one of the beauties of it is that you can reach people worldwide, which makes your potential market like so much bigger. So, you know, there's definitely a pro why I like online business, but it's really up to you. Someone said, great webinar. Do you have any tips on dealing with family members who insist there's no money in health coaching? Ignore them. Just laugh at them. Look, you can't change anyone's mind. You show them by doing it. That's how you change their mind. Okay, a lot of questions, online versus business today. What I understand about marketing online to build in the beginning, it's best to do a webinar, a cooking demo, or something along those lines, being the online version of going out and doing a local workshop. I was wondering what is the best way to get out to the world, get the word out for this. If you don't have a list newsletter built up, what are your suggestions? Thanks so much for these webinars, always inspiring. Thanks, Leah, it's always lovely to have you here. In the beginning, yes, online webinars, cooking demos, YouTube videos, whatever, are the equivalent of doing a workshop. So it's a matter of getting them out there. You know, think about your own social media channels, your own Facebook page, your own business page, Instagram, emails to family and friends, all that kind of thing. Paid advertising on Facebook when you know how to do it properly. Or well, I should say, and effectively, is an amazing tool for reaching people who are interested in your work. But it does take knowing what you're doing, and you know, if you can literally waste a lot of money or frustration if you don't kind of know what's happening there. So those are the ways to get them out online, like the most obvious ways to start with. Again, like I said before, you can tap into other people who might be servicing your audience, get to know people, guest blogs, all these kind of things. Great, thank you. Someone saying the 10-step client Kickstarter ebook is awesome. I really have put everything in that ebook, guys. You know, for those of you who are self-starters and really have no trouble with accountability, etc., like, you know, I'm never ever afraid to give you everything I know. So there's a lot in that ebook. It will later be refined and for sale. So I'm glad that everyone who showed up last week got a copy of that. Thank you, everyone who's enjoying the webinars and giving that feedback. Yeah, great. Questions come back round about sharing with work. Totally. Like, I've got a couple of private clients actually who, two that I can think of last year in particular, never had websites and probably got the most clients of anyone. And they just built their confidence through our coaching of like talking to people at work about what they were doing and offering a discovery session and understanding like how to do that. So it was a healing conversation, not salesy, all those things. And yeah, they started doing a workshop at work, and within your own communities, you don't even have to go out there and do those things. So I think it's great to be sharing what you're doing. You may also, I know people often ask, should I be sharing with work? And that's down to your own individual job, I guess. You know, some people don't want their workplace to know that they're looking at doing another career, etc. So that side of it is up to you and your individual job. Okay, there's one more question. If anyone else would like to know anything at all, put a question in the box. Joanna's just going to also put in the link for next week's webinar, which will be the third in the business training for January. And I highly encourage you to, sign up now, so that's in there for you, and then you can always get the recordings for all three. That way, if you can't make it. So the last question I have today, my question is around sending out an email to your friends, family, letting them know what kind of work I'm up to, etc. I'm torn between emailing everyone I know and picking and choosing people who I think will actually be interested, associate with people who would be interested, etc. I understand this question. We cover this a lot in the Mastermind, actually, Elaine, and I know you're going to enjoy that. We really... There's different times that you do the different strategies, and you actually have to do these, over and over again when you get into business, getting out there more and more. I would start with just kind of emailing everyone you know, letting them know what you're doing, etc., and asking them to forward it on. Over time, it might be more picking particular people and writing them more of a personal email. There's no right or wrong, really. It's just more dependent on what you're putting out and when, like what the strategy is at the time. For now, just get it out there. Get the word out there. People often try to hide because they're scared of judgment in this new career. Just, get it out there. I don't, sorry, someone just asked me, is there a contact service you'd recommend to learn how to do Facebook ads? There are some online courses. I just haven't done them, so I can't vouch for them. I obviously teach them in the Mastermind. There's, you can look around. I'm just thinking, one of my private clients found someone who taught her, like in a few coaching sessions, but I would have to find out who that is. And again, I can't vouch for it. But there are some online Facebook ads out there. Leah, anybody else? Any other questions today? Or any comments or any feedback? Anyone picked up any new clients since last week in the January boost? Anything else? The link's further down the thread, Leah, for the ebook. Joanna's put that a little further down. Any other questions? Any other thoughts, feedback? I'm here for you. This is what this time is for. Anything at all? Any questions on the Mastermind? I'm happy to go deeper into that for anyone. I get it, that an investment like that in stepping up to yourself and your business can be scary, like in actually committing to that. So anything at all you'd like to ask here, or of course, just fill in an application and you and I can jump on the phone together. I'll just give it another minute because there's normally a bit of a delay in the chat. Joe, if you can just pop me a message in the chat, then I'll know that there's no one behind you and we can close up for today. Maybe just pop the page for the Mastermind in as a final link for anyone who wants to have a read about it. It's upswingmastermind.com for anyone. I know you don't get the chat if you're watching the replay. And there's also the buttons on there if you'd like to apply, and we can have a chat about it. But upswingmastermind.com is the link. Anyone else? A couple of people just asking for the link to the ebook. Joe will pop that in here too, but I'm going to read it out because I had so many questions for it last week. Where is it? The link for the free ebook is amandajdaily.com/client- whatever you call it, kickstart. That'll be up there for another week or so while we're doing this business training, so you can still access that. Oh, a few more questions come in. Question, do I ask people for medical info at discovery sessions? Not in a discovery session, depending on your business, you might have, or personally, if I was doing it, I might have an attached questionnaire, etc. A discovery session for me is not really to understand someone's health, not the specifics. It's more to understand what their pain point is and what they want to change and whether I'm the right coach for them to do that. We discover that first and then we can go into details. Depending on your business though, if you need to know those things to make that decision, of course, then you may need to put that in. A question, are there private coaching calls included in the Upswing program? There's the live laser coaching each week where we all get on the video together and everybody gets the chance for their private questions with me, but that's in front of everyone, so they're not private. If anyone particularly wants private calls as well, you're welcome to discuss that to me. We can look at it as an add-on package. I'm not really working with people one-on-one very much this year, but there are a couple of spaces in there as an option for that. So if anyone really wants that as well, we can look at that as an option, an add-on. But most of the women, I mean, I'd say all the women in the current mastermind find that the time we get together, because I laser coach very quickly into that, find that those weekly calls are, you know, covering that side of the private coaching well. Yep, so much to catch up on. I know there's a lot of info in these. You know, I certainly don't hold back on sharing as much as I can with you guys in these free trainings each week. So of course, go back and watch last week's if you haven't already seen it. If you're watching this as a replay, and sign up for next week's. And, you know, on that note, next week, we're going to be looking at some of the key mistakes that health coaches do make, especially in the first year or so of business. We've already alluded to all of those the last few sessions, and feel free if there's anything in particular that you want me to add in, you know, jump on over to the Upswing Health Coaches Facebook group and, you know, put in there anything at all that you'd like me to cover next week, and I'm more than happy to, you know, add that in if it feels relevant. Other than that, thanks so much for joining me today. I thoroughly enjoyed talking about money, which is a topic I know so many people are scared of talking about, don't want to talk about, or are craving to talk about. And if that's you, then you're certainly in the right place as we start to explore this together and build your business, you know, very much on the online marketing ways together. So thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next week. Take care.